story time of the time I dated the nice guy. The nice guy. Pathological liar whose heart I broke because I just couldn't take it anymore. Fun fact, I met this guy on Twitter. Also, this is pathetic. This guy on Twitter, and he had been liking my tweets a million times, right? And we'll call him Jason. No, we won't. No, we won't. That's my father's name. We will not call him. We'll call him Jeff. We'll call him Jeff. He'd been liking my tweets, and back in the day, liking someone's tweets was kind of like a, hey, I'm trying to get at you. Like, this is like a little flirty moment. I caught on. I was like, okay, he's liking my tweets, and I look at his account, and the profile picture was like an old one. Kind of tell that this picture was like older, but I felt like, oh, maybe he's just like a boy. Like, he doesn't ever update his profile picture. No. I was just kind of waiting on him to like message me because I was just not interested enough to like be like, I see you liking my tweets, like let's get together. No, that was not the vibe. I ended up tweeting something like, I hate when people like all my tweets but are too scared to message me, like grow up, like just like completely dogging him. He ends up messaging me and asking me on a date, and I was like, fair enough, like I'll go on a date with him, whatever. So that was kind of it. I was just like, yeah, I'll go on a date. You guys are gonna be at me like, why would you go on a date with a stranger? That's literally how all relationships happen. Also, we had mutual friends, so it like wasn't a big deal. Picking me up in his car, which, ladies, the worst idea in the world. Always bring your own car to your first date. Don't have a car, like find your own way there, because you want to be able to leave when you want to leave. I'm gonna get a garbage plate, which I feel like is a reoccurring theme with me in first dates. I'm like to eat, and I'm already feeling like, you know, this is not gonna work. He's too nice. This is really weird. Opens the door for me, and then he stops at his house and introduces me to his father on the first date. For at this time, I had a really hard time like cutting people off and just like ending things where they are because I just felt guilty. I felt like I owed people things. After this date, I kept responding slowly, but like I was still responding. I was still entertaining, which I know was my fault. And it was around Valentine's Day. And on Valentine's Day, he shows up at my house after us texting, and he brings me a necklace, a teddy bear, and chocolates. A necklace? A necklace? I get a teddy bear and chocolates, but like necklace? Also, like the necklace was hideous. I'm sorry. It was really hideous. I already know what you guys are gonna say. We ended up hanging out again. It was so nice, and I was trying to convince myself, like, Emily, you're supposed to like him. Like, he's nice, he's respectful, like, you're supposed to like him. And this time, since the second seal had already been torn, we hang out at his house with his father. His dad literally got us like chicken and like got us a whole dinner, and we just sat in his living room. And then he starts talking to me about the army. Why is this such a man thing to like lie about going into the army? To be like, I'm going into the army, so that you'll be like, no, stay for me, stay for me. Like, no. If you want to go, like, do that. Like, do that. Like, I just go do that. Anyways, we're like booed up on the couch, and obviously like we're watching a movie, so I can kind of like see his phone. I'm clocking behaviors. He has it upside down. He's not really checking it that much, but it's getting blown up. It's getting blown up. Why is the nice guy's phone getting blown up? He flips it over quickly, and I see my name. And it's not my name, but it's someone with the same name as me. It was his ex-girlfriend. It was his ex-girlfriend. He explains to me that they dated and that she's like crazy, like, I'm just like, right. I decided in my head, as soon as I get home, I'm ending this because he lied about wanting to go into the army. He's lying about this girl, whatever, like, whatever. Go to part 2. Anyway, so I decide as soon as I get home that I'm gonna just kind of end this. I feel like he's pathologically lying. I'm just not trusting it. He's too nice. There has to be something wrong with this guy. Plus, like, his profile picture was so old that like he did not look like that at all anymore. He takes me home, and I'm expecting to just like get out of the car, go inside, and then in a couple hours be like, hey, I don't think it's working. Okay, well, on the car ride home, he starts telling me how he's falling in love with me, and it had only been like a week and a half. Like, that's so sweet, thanks. Actually, something I've done a lot, like with every boyfriend I've ever had, they always tell me they love me first, and I usually will say thank you because I just have a problem being vulnerable. I guess it's kind of that, and it's also like sometimes I'm just not in love yet. I'm just not there. In this case, I was just not there. I like say thanks, and I walk in the house and whatever, and I'm deciding how am I about to go about this, because this is going to be horrendous. But at the same time, I felt like he was a pathological liar. I'm like, you're telling me you're going to the army so that I'll simply say stay, and like you have your girlfriend still. Basically explain just that. I'm like, I don't want to be with someone for long distance, you know, and like I saw you texting your ex-girlfriend. I just don't want the mess. He tells me she's like crazy and like they're not together, and like, you know, she still has feelings for him and whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I end up cutting it off, and he's like heartbroken. He's like telling me he's crying. He like wants to come see me. He like wants to come make up and explain things to me. For a really long time, part of me felt like, wow, I kind of fumbled. Like, he was actually really nice until the other day. I found out on Facebook that he is now married to that girl and living in a faraway place, working for the army. He was telling the truth about something, though. He did in fact go into the army. Actually really was really nice. I say all of this to say that the nice guy is always just a love bomber, and that's why I don't like them. It always is giving disingenuine, just be a little bit mean to me and I'll probably be interested.
Story time, I got shot 8 times by my boyfriend's mom's husband, and I survived it. It's the day after Thanksgiving. It happened at night. Me, my boyfriend, his sister, and his neighbor, we were all watching a movie late at night, and his stepdad kept walking in and out of the house, and he was playing really loud music in his garage. His sister went to go to sleep, and then a little later, his neighbor left. Me and my boyfriend, we were gonna sleep in the living room, but his stepdad was making too much noise, so I felt more comfortable sleeping in the basement. So we went to the basement, and my boyfriend said he was gonna go upstairs, brush his teeth, wash his face, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'm just gonna be on my phone and just get ready to go to sleep. After my boyfriend left, I heard a really loud noise, like a really loud bang, and I thought somebody broke in the house. Like, I wasn't sure what it was, but I thought somebody broke in the house. Next thing I know, I hear really loud, like, footsteps running down the stairs, and I hear my boyfriend yelling, but I wasn't sure what was happening. And then I see his stepdad stop in the corner of the room, maybe like 10 feet away, and points a gun at me. And then he starts shooting at me. He starts shooting, and I put my hand out because I thought that was going to protect me, but it didn't. So after he shot my hand, I fell down on the couch. Fell down on the couch and pretended to be dead. But even when I fell down, he shot me 2 more times on my leg.
So my boyfriend said when he ran down and shot me, he was in the restroom. As soon as he heard gunshots, he started to yell, but he didn't know who was shooting or who he was shooting at. So he ran out the house. As soon as he ran out the house, his stepdad was running up the stairs and was gonna chase him. But luckily, my boyfriend ran out the house fast enough where he couldn't keep up with him.
I heard him run up the stairs, and I'm over here in disbelief. I thought I got shot by BB guns, so I looked down, and then I realized that there's blood everywhere, and then I grabbed my phone and just tried to text my sister. I tell her, like, hey, I got shot, and I don't know if anybody has called the police, so I call 911 and tell them that I just got shot.
So while I'm talking to the 911 operator, I'm telling her, my name, my age, birth date, where my address. I feel myself like losing my breath, and I hear a few more gunshots upstairs, and I hear my boyfriend yelling that he's still inside the house. My boyfriend said that he was running and he didn't know if he was like behind him or chasing him, so he tried to lose him in the cornfields. And then from there he ran to the neighbor's house and starts banging on the door, and nobody's answering, so he goes across the street. He's yelling at the same time. He said when he's running, he lost his phone. It fell out of his pocket. He starts banging at our neighbor's door, the one that was there earlier that night. From there, my neighbor and his family run out of the house and goes towards my boyfriend's house. Then my boyfriend starts yelling from outside the house, asking if anybody's okay, but he didn't know who was alive and who wasn't in the house. So he goes inside the house and then sees the dead body in the middle of the hallway. So as soon as I hear my boyfriend yelling, I start screaming his name like a couple times, and then after that I keep talking to the 911 operator. And after I screamed his name, I heard footsteps come down the stairs, but they didn't come down the stairs all the way. It sounded like they came halfway down the stairs and then ran back up. After that, I want to say maybe a minute later, I start hearing voices in the house. I hear the neighbor. So when I hear the neighbor, I feel like the coast is clear, like maybe they got this guy. So I start screaming. For help while I'm still on the phone with that 911 operator. The next thing I knew, a few cops come down the stairs. So the police start putting pressure on the wounds, and they also mark X's on me where I got shot. So I got shot here, one between my armpit, on one of my shoulder, my hand, and 2 on my leg. I get put on the stretcher, and then get put on an ambulance, and I'm sent to the hospital. In the hospital, I learned that first shot I heard, he actually shot his mom, my boyfriend's mom, and then those footsteps that I heard come halfway down the stairs and halfway up, that was actually him. And right after that, he shot himself a couple times and committed suicide. So many people want to know, like, what was the reason? Like, why was he on drugs? You know, why did he shoot me, his mom? And honestly, I have no idea. I know now that he was intoxicated, but I have no idea what made him want to shoot us. I know that when he went down the stairs, his main target was my boyfriend, but since he saw me, he just took it out on me. And
What ended a relationship with your best friend? A reversal of fortunes. It's very painful to think back about what happened to my friendship with Annie, but I will miss her until the day I die. We met at work when I was 25 and she was 22. It was a small office and we were the only two girls. She was such a sweet, fun, classy person and we bonded immediately. We spent the next 5 years working side by side, sharing our joys, happinesses, trials and tribulations. I shared things with her that I never shared with anyone else and she did the same with me. We were closer than sisters. Annie had a wonderful, carefree life. She and her husband were quite well off compared to me and mine. She was working to put her husband through medical school, but she had also inherited some money and they were well off financially. They went on regular scuba diving vacations to the Bahamas. They purchased a home at the same time we did in a more exclusive neighborhood and installed a pool and upscale landscaping. They purchased a boat. All in all, she had a beautiful life, and I was so proud to have her as a friend. My life, in comparison, was a struggle. We lived paycheck to paycheck. There was never enough money for unexpected, but necessary, expenses. We had a son. So while Annie and her husband were traveling and vacationing, we were spending our money on daycare, preschool, and after-school care. I lived vicariously through Annie's life. I loved hearing about her vacations and the people they traveled with. I loved seeing the jewelry she received for special occasions. Once, after telling me about something going on in her life, she got quiet and then asked me a serious question. "Do you ever get jealous when I talk about this stuff?" It surprised me. I told her no and that I loved hearing about all the fun places and things she was able to go to and do. But she asked again. Like she just couldn't understand. "But how can you not be jealous?" I told her I was just happy for her and was hopeful that I would one day be able to do those things as well. Maybe one day when our son moved away from home. And we laughed and life went on. 11 years into our friendship, her husband was a doctor. They lived in a beautiful upscale community in Florida, and a nanny for her daughter since she still worked. My husband and I were still struggling in the same house with the same financial issues, during a particularly terrible time. By then we had 2 children. I called her crying and she sent me an airline ticket to Florida. I literally ran away from home and lived with her for 10 days before I was able to get myself sorted out and return home. It was something I'll always cherish. Fast forward another 10 plus years when we are both in our early 40s. Annie starts falling on hard times and my career begins to take off. Annie and her husband file for bankruptcy, lose almost everything and eventually divorce. She moves to another state and spends another lump sum inheritance on a small business that goes bust within a year. She calls and tells me she doesn't know how she will be able to put food on the table for her children. She has 3 at this time. I wake up in the middle of the night because I can't sleep thinking about her. I empty my wallet and send her $180 with a loving note about how confident I am that things are going to turn around. Annie goes back to work and struggles but manages to scrap up enough money to buy a starter home. We continue to talk long distance. Meanwhile, I'm promoted and transferred to another state. We stay in touch. She visits to see the new house and stays for a few days. When we talk, she seems disappointed that my husband and I are doing okay. She reminds me of issues we've had in the past. Fast forward another few years, I am promoted and transferred yet again. With every promotion, she asks what my new salary is. I tell her. I trust her. I look at her as a sister. We have no secrets. She says she's proud of me and that I've taught her so much. I tell her how much she means to me. But there is something I'm beginning to notice. The last time I saw her, she came to visit the new house as she was passing through our town. She seemed shocked and almost disappointed that I was driving a luxury car. Something in her tone about how I was moving up in the world. We laughed about the rusty car I used to drive where I killed a roach with a hammer as I was driving. I began to feel self-conscious when she commented on the rock I was wearing on my ring finger. I downplayed it. "It's not so big. It just looks big." It was a gift to myself. I pull my hands back so it's not so visible. I'm sensing something, but can't quite understand what it is. Fast forward a few more years to 2007, 32 years into the friendship. We are talking on the phone, and I mention that we are going on a trip to Las Vegas and how excited I am. She says she has a $100 chip from the Mirage that she's going to send me. I protest, but she insists it's money she owes me. I'm perplexed. "You don't owe me any money." And what she says next is like a knife to the heart because she almost spits it out and her voice is full of venom and hate. She said, quote, "For the $180. We were silent for a few seconds as her words hung in the air. I was speechless. It took my breath away. I mumbled okay and she mailed it to me. I thought a lot about that conversation and replayed our friendship in my head. I immediately regretted sending her the money. I had sent it 10 years earlier and completely forgot about it. She had not. I remembered what she had done for me when she flew me to Florida and I wanted to do something for her. I couldn't fly her to my home because she was a single parent with 2 children still in school. In hindsight, I thought maybe I should have asked before sending the money. It seemed to me that I was doing most of the calling and staying in touch. Anyway, but we both had busy lives so I didn't think too much about it. But replaying conversations, I began to think that maybe she thought of me as the friend who was always worse off than she was, that maybe I was supposed to be the poor friend, that maybe I was the friend she used to gauge how well she was doing, and that maybe it made her unhappy hearing how well my life was going when hers wasn't going so well. I called from Las Vegas and left a light-hearted message about playing the chip for millions and losing. After that message, I decided to let her call me when she was ready. For 3 years, she never called. It broke my heart, but I didn't want to make her unhappy by calling. We quit exchanging birthday cards. It made me wonder how she viewed me when our fortunes were reversed. Did she pity me in those early years? Did she think that now that our fortunes were reversed that I thought any less of her? I don't know, but it makes me incredibly sad. And then, out of the blue, 3 years later she called. I was ecstatic. We laughed and talked for 2 hours and it was just like old times. She encouraged me to call her every now and then, but as I promised I would, I knew I wouldn't unless she called first. I just wasn't sure whether she was being polite or really wanted to re-establish the friendship, and I didn't want to cause her any unhappiness. Sadly, she never called again. One night in 2018, after hearing that a coworker from years ago had died, I felt a strong urge to Google Annie. It was then that I found out she had passed away in 2017, almost a year to the day. I cried for days and still cry whenever I think about her. I initially regretted not calling her, but after learning that she continued to struggle, I was glad I waited for her to call me. I believed that it was painful for her to compare our lives and she was happier not knowing how my life was going. Rest in peace, Annie. I have never stopped loving you and am sorry if I was insensitive or hurt you in any way.
15 years ago my best friend got pregnant by my boyfriend and my family knew about it but didn't tell me, so I ran from home. Now they all want to reconcile. When I was 18 and in my senior year of high school, I really believed my life was on a good track. I lived with my parents and 4 siblings and spent most of my days hanging out with my best friend Ashley or my boyfriend of 3 years, Kyle. Both Ashley and Kyle's parents were best friends with my parents, so I knew both of them since we were in diapers. Ashley's been my friend for 18 years and she truly was the person I trusted with everything. I've been dating Kyle for the last 3 years. I believed he was the love of my life and the one I would eventually marry. We were quite serious and even talked about getting married after he finished college. Although I had every plan on going to university, I was quite content with the idea of being married to Kyle and being a stay-at-home mom. My parents loved Kyle and supported our relationship. I really was happy. My sister was also dating Kyle's brother and all our siblings were very close. One day, at the beginning of the school year, I noticed that Ashley was being very melancholic and detached. After a while of prodding, she told me she was pregnant. I was very surprised because I didn't know she and her boyfriend broke up a while ago and I didn't know she had anyone else like that in her life. I asked her who the father was and she didn't want to talk about it, but in a way implied that the ex was the father. She was absolutely distraught, so I dropped the topic and just consoled her. I was with her when she told her family, and while her parents were disappointed, they promised to support her in whatever she decides. They tried to make her share the dad's name but she refused and made me promise to stay quiet. I was there for her for the next 9 months. I went with her for an ultrasound, doc's appointments. I was there for her when she was bullied in school for being pregnant. I helped her set up the nursery. I was there when she was sick or just felt down. I held a baby shower for her, went shopping with her. I even took some parenting classes with her. We chose names together and she even asked me to be with her in the delivery room. I noticed that the pregnancy was really taking a toll on her emotionally and physically and I tried to support her in every way possible. She was my best friend, always there for me, and I loved her. Some 2 weeks before her due date I went to the mall to run some errands and ran into her ex. Although I promised never to contact her, the knowledge of my friend's emotional state sent me into a fit of anger and I confronted him. I gave him a piece of my mind, told him what a piece of garbage he was for leaving his ex pregnant and alone and not caring for his unborn child. He was shocked and said that he had no idea what I was talking about. Ashley never told him about the pregnancy, and when I told him she was 9 months pregnant at the time, he said that it was not possible for him to be the father as they broke up over a year ago and had no relations since then. I was confused but apologized for yelling at him in the middle of the mall. After that, he became snarky, said some nasty stuff, and mentioned that maybe I should ask Ashley's friend Kyle if he is the daddy. I didn't really think about his words in any way. Kyle and Ashley have been friends their entire lives. We were always very close, but they never showed any sign of being anything more. That evening my younger sister and I were preparing to have a movie night. I began ranting to her about confronting Ashley's ex and his words. My sister, who is usually very outspoken, got quiet and didn't really respond to anything I said. After a while, she excused herself and went to the bathroom. I decided to go and get some snacks and went downstairs to the kitchen and heard my younger sister berating my mother. This part of my memory is really fuzzy as I was dealing with lots of emotions. My sister told my mom about me running into Ashley's ex and his words and told my mom she no longer wanted to hide from me the fact that Kyle was Ashley's baby's father. I was shocked, absolutely shocked. I stumbled into the kitchen and demanded an explanation. Both my mom and my sister became white as a sheet when they saw me and my sister started crying her eyes out. My sister explained to me that during the end of the summer break Kyle and Ashley attended the same house party, got intoxicated, and slept together. Ashley got pregnant and told Kyle, but they were both ashamed and afraid of telling me. They also didn't share this with their parents. Ashley, however, couldn't keep the secret and told her mom and dad, who told Kyle's parents and later to mine as well. This all happened when Ashley was in her first trimester. By her second trimester all of my siblings, Kyle's and Ashley's siblings, knew about this. Everyone, except for me. I simply cannot explain the way I felt. I was physically ill for the next 3 days and I couldn't speak to anyone. My parents were apologetic but explained that they didn't want to see me hurt or ruin everyone's relationship. I did not speak with Kyle or Ashley, although they bombarded my phone with messages and calls and also came to my house. I refused to see them. At one point Kyle's mom came to our house and my mom allowed her into my room. While I was lying in my bed still ill and just emotionally drained from the betrayal, she tried to convince me to forgive them and how Ashley and the baby need me. I said nothing.
2 weeks later, Ashley went into labor. I learned from my parents that she had a hard delivery, she lost a lot of blood and needed an emergency C-section. Kyle apparently was at the birth. I was distraught, inconsolable. Because of the betrayal by both, because I planned to be there and now physically and emotionally couldn't, because I was looking forward to this moment for months. My older sister immediately went to the hospital to be with her boyfriend. My other siblings weren't at home, so I was left alone with my parents. All I wanted was to lay in my bed or cuddle in my bed with my mom and cry all my feelings out. My mom received a call from Ashley's mom. She came to my room and told me that she and dad were going to the hospital. I was perplexed and asked her to stay with me. She said that Ashley's parents need all the support they can get and that we will discuss everything later. I tried to tell her not to go and that I also need their support, but she said not to be selfish and they left. I was left alone at the house and I just couldn't comprehend what happened in the last few weeks. I couldn't believe that my parent would go and support someone who hurt me so much, while I was also suffering. I don't know when, but my sadness turned into rage, the kind I never experienced before. In a fit of combined emotions and feelings of betrayal, I started packing my bags and decided to leave home. It didn't take a while, but I started having second thoughts and just sat in the living room feeling empty. After a while, I received a text from my sister. The text said that Ashley gave birth to a healthy girl and that they were both okay. She attached a pic of the newborn and told me they named her Sarah, which was the name Ashley and I chose some months ago. She sent a second text a while later, telling me that my parents and she were going to join Ashley's and Kyle's parents in going to a bar in the town to celebrate. I don't remember much after that. I think I was just consumed by everything and my memory is very foggy. I left. I took a train and left. I stayed at a hostel in Phoenix for a while. I got a job at a store and planned to finish high school there. My parents, siblings, Kyle, and Ashley tried to contact me. My mom was sending me a panicked voicemail, demanding me to come back. They also reported me as a missing person, but I don't think it went anywhere as I was 18. Soon afterward I met Dean. He also lived in Phoenix and had a complicated relationship with his family. We really connected and became friends soon. He helped me a lot at that time. I struggled. I had no idea how to take care of myself or how to, literally, be an adult. He introduced me to his group of friends, helped me finish high school, and I moved in with him and his friends. He helped me deal with my pain. He was there for me and supported me through everything, and I don't think I would have lasted long without him. We began dating after a year. He inherited some money from his grandpa and decided to move across the country to the big city. Although we weren't together for long, he asked me to go with him. I was a bit reluctant because we both had a lot of emotional baggage and I was still very insecure in my situation, but I did go. We moved, got jobs, and tried to survive. Soon after my 21st birthday, we decided to get married. It was a crazy, spontaneous decision, but we did it. I enrolled in university and the dean helped me pay for it.
Am I the asshole for suggesting my friend rehomes her kid? English isn't my first language, nor the one the conversation in question was held in, so sorry for any mistakes. My 22 female friend, 24 female, has a 5-year-old son. The kid is, to say the least, difficult. She tries therapy, daycare, lots of educational methods, but he's wild. Cries a lot, destroys stuff, yells with her. Anyway, you get the picture. The dad pays pension, but isn't active in their lives, and she doesn't have many family members nearby, so she's pretty much alone most of the time to deal with this. Poor thing is destroyed. Whenever we hang out, it's clear from her physical appearance that she isn't very healthy and she is always tired and anxious. She takes meds, but her doctor said that unfortunately there isn't much to do because there isn't anything wrong with her. It was an outside factor. It's really painful for me as she's a close friend from many years. So the other day she was in my house while the kid was in the daycare. She had a breakdown, started crying, saying she doesn't know what to do anymore. Then this is when I may have been the asshole. I said she tried her best, but maybe it was time to think of more difficult possibilities. To think if there wasn't anyone with whom the kid could stay while she took care of herself because she needed to. She looked at me quite shocked and asked, "Are you saying that I should rehome my son? Like he's a fucking dog?" I said, "No, don't take it that way. I was only saying that maybe it would be better for everyone, including him, if he stays with someone who could deal with him in some ways you can't." She yelled at me for saying that she couldn't believe I could even suggest such a thing, and how heartless could I be. I tried to apologize, but she stormed out and hasn't talked to me ever since. Some of our friends are saying that I was an ass for suggesting that for a mother, while a few others say that she needed to hear it even if it was hard. Am I the asshole?
How did you figure out that your significant other was cheating on you? I was in a 3-year relationship with my ex 10 months into it. She moved in with me. We both had each other's mobile passwords and fingerprint, so she would always take a peek of my cell phone in front of me, but that was alright with me. I never thought of cheating on her, so I really didn't have anything to hide or be afraid of. On the other hand though, I never went through her cell phone. Why? Because I thought, this is the woman I want to marry. If I ever find reason enough to think I should go through her stuff, then it means I don't trust her. It follows that I wouldn't marry her then. So why start distrusting, if she didn't give me any reason for doing so? 3 years go by. I've never felt jealous. Well, maybe on occasion, even though she was, and still is, a very beautiful woman. On the other hand, she was jealous of me, and I'll tell you, I'm not insanely attractive or sought after, so I never knew where that was coming from. Well, I read somewhere that people who are cheating become jealous out of nowhere sometimes because they believe their significant other may be cheating on them as well. How messed up is that? Maybe that was a sign of what was about to come. Anyway, fast forward 3 years, December 31st, 2016. We're cleaning the house and getting ready for a short trip for a New Year's party in another town at a friend's house. We're chatting and she tells me she bought a new charger for her iPhone from Amazon. I tell her to watch out as those chargers are not certified and could damage her phone. Maybe cause a fire. We figure she'll try it and plugs it in. A few minutes after that, maybe an hour, I pass by her phone and wonder whether the thing is actually charging. It is facing down. I turn it up and on and there it is. A message from some guy with a very graphic description of what he wanted to do to my girlfriend. Even with my blood starting to boil, I won't unlock the phone. It could be that the guy is her boss and is harassing her, in which case it wouldn't be her fault, right? I ask her about it, assuming nothing. I truly wanted it to be something innocent or a misunderstanding. She denies it and says it's nothing. At that point it's clear she's trying to play dumb, so I grab the phone from her and unlock it with my fingerprint and there it is. She is also exchanging messages with him. She grabs the phone back before I have a chance to read the messages and continues to say there's no message exchange. I tell her I'll give her one chance to explain herself or it's over. She can leave immediately. She says she can't. And she starts crying, saying she'll delete her social media and that everything will be different and she'll never talk to other men again, blah blah blah. I told her I want her out of my house and out of my house. I simply couldn't live with a liar and cheater. I figured I needed some time away to calm down. I start packing and look for somewhere to fly to. All the while she's crying, saying that she never cheated on me physically, that she was just talking to this guy out of compassion and a bunch of excuses. It was terrible and went on for 2 long hours until I figured where I would head to. I didn't even look at her face anymore. All this time I was imagining the worst case scenarios. Who knows what else she has been up to. Those times she got home late with the excuse that she had a lot of work, or she was at a friend's house. All these scenarios kept replaying in my head and driving me crazy. I said she has a month to get out. By the time I get back I want her gone. I offer her money to help her get back on her feet. She actually gets offended, although I was willing to give her whatever, as long as she was gone. She refused to accept my money. I head to the airport and while I'm in the taxi she's messaging me apologizing. I blocked her. I didn't need this extra stress. When I got back she was indeed nowhere to be found. She tried to contact me again a few times after that. Every time from a new number or email. Every time I blocked her again. Did I forgive her? Yes, I think I did. And I hope she's doing well, because despite it all, she's a good person. But I still choose not to talk to her, as I don't intend to go back into a relationship with a lack of trust. That's a no-no. My only concern is, was I in the right? Was what she did actually cheating? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to dig any further in fear she actually was seeing other people while with me.
My bridesmaid accepted her role in a way that hurt my heart. I asked 3 women to be my bridesmaids with a small gift. I asked each woman privately at their homes while visiting, so it could be a heartfelt personal moment between us alone. One bridesmaid, I'll call A, is a kind-hearted woman I've known for more than half my life, who's been with me through some serious ups and downs, including the death of a child. I have known I wanted her to be a part of my wedding for many years. She even offered to host in her backyard when I was brainstorming budget budget venues. A doesn't have many close friends, but I'm not her only friend, and she's significantly older than I am, so she's talked to me about plenty of weddings she's attended before. I just assumed that she'd been a bridesmaid before, since she has long-term childhood friends who are married. She's even talked about helping with setup for weddings, hence my assumption. But when I asked her to be my bridesmaid, she burst into tears and said, quote, "You're so sweet. You don't have to make me one of your bridesmaids though." Confused, I asked, quote, "Why wouldn't I want you to be my bridesmaid?" And she said, quote, "I've never been pretty enough to be a bridesmaid." I was flabbergasted. Apparently, all of her other friends asked for her help, both labor and money, but never allowed her to be in photos because she's overweight. Like, straight up shooed her out of the photos. I can't even imagine doing something like that to a person who's given so much of herself for me over the years. Who gives a shit what she looks like? I assured her repeatedly that she is pretty, and I don't care about her weight. I care about her heart, and she's done more than enough to deserve a place beside me at my wedding, whether or not she hosts it in her backyard. But I feel sad and infuriated about what was supposed to be a moment of joy and excitement between us, and that it was dampered by a lifetime of others ruining her self-esteem. I feel like I'm going to lunge at her childhood friends next time I see them, because I'm so pissed to find out how they treated her. She deserves better friends.
Yeah.